Hey guys, welcome back to Gearfacts. Bit of a different one today. We're talking about equalization with your guitar tone. A couple of watchers have messaged me asking for a tutorial about equalization. Why they would message me about that, I don't know. I would have thought there were people way more qualified than me to talk about that. So this is just my take on it. I'm not a professional or anything, but it seems to me that middle of the road tone will basically bring out the general character of your guitar and your amp together. Clean sound. So let's hear what it sounds like when we boost the mids. For me, boosting middles gives a bit more power and woodiness to the notes. Sometimes I like to boost treble as well. Treble I find adds a lot of definition to your sound. If I take away some treble, you'll see what I mean about the middle giving it more of a slappy sort of sound. And as I introduce more bass, it becomes softer. Not necessarily weaker, just softer. I'm going to put the mid back to 0 here. What I'm moving towards now is a scooped sound, which is where we actually reduce the amount of middle and increase the treble and the bass. Scooping gives you a nice tough sound with lots of definition at the high end, but still a lot of growl at the lower end as well. Generally more associated with American guitar sounds. Let's extreme it a little bit more, just to overemphasize this effect. Nice low edge coming through, but heaps and heaps of bite at that high end too. Now let's do a sharp contrast. We're going to do the opposite of scooping, raise the treble. I guess you'd call it a mound or a peak. Anyway, let's see the difference in sound. Okay, the sound's a little bit tighter when the mids are boosted, and this is often associated more strongly with the British guitar sound. But for me, like I said, I just like to boost the mid and the treble a little bit, pretty much leave bass where it is. And most of the guitar sound that you'll hear on my video is probably going to resemble something like that. If anything, with this particular amp, I'd probably ease off on the treble a bit. On most amps, you'll generally just see the bass, middle, and treble controls. Sometimes you'll just see bass and treble controls. Often pedals and multi-effect systems will give you a little bit more detailed control, so let's have a look at that. You can see the frequencies in the yellow lettering just along the bottom there. So here the idea is a little more detailed, but essentially the same. So we can boost our lows a little bit and boost our highs to get that nice scooped sound. And as I said earlier, for me, I like to boost the mids slightly. Something like that would be what I would choose. Then of course you've got the players who like to really boost the middle section and maybe end up with an arc that's something like this. Maybe a little stronger around the 1.6 kilohertz there to get that more sort of woody, high velocity kind of sound that I mentioned earlier. So as I said, the principle is basically the same, but the important thing to get the most out of your EQ, and I think this is a rule that's generally accepted, you do need to preserve a nice flow to the arc of your EQ. If you imagine a line connecting all those red points, you want to see it flow smoothly. You don't want to have completely random, out of place things like this going on. It'll still work fine, and it might give you a reasonable sound, but generally if you give it a more logical flow between each of the frequencies, you're going to get a better result at the end. Not that I would ever discourage you from experimenting. And this is how Zoom does it. And I'll zoom out a little bit. Monochrome screen, but the same principle applies. We're on the low 160 kilohertz bassy end of things here. Moving over. And again, I'll leave that one where it is. We go over to the next tab and we can get that smiley scooped shape again, following that nice neat curve pattern. Or lowering the top end, boosting the mids, giving ourselves more of a traditionally British sort of EQ curve. But again, and I know I keep stressing it, but it's all about personal preference. Play with these EQ settings, see what sounds nice with your guitar, with your pedals, with your amp. And really the only rule that I would emphasize is maintaining that nice neat flow of each EQ point being on a clear arc to the next point. I hope that's making sense, guys, and I hope my video about guitar equalization has made sense for you, and I hope even more that it might help you develop a better tone with your sound. Thanks again for watching Gearfacts. I look forward to hearing your feedback about this video, and if you could hit that like button or even subscribe to Gearfacts, that would be just awesome. I look forward to seeing you next time, guys.